Welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 130. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who is joining me this week, real quick, we're going to go over what our topics shall be. Couple myriad topics. Probably won't spend a ton of time on any one topic. So perhaps we'll have a short show, but I've cursed myself with words like that before. But first up, the Dice Awards just passed, which is the kind of more developer-centric awards show for the video game season, video game awards season. If folks did not like what the Game Awards was offering, the Dice Awards seemed to offer kind of more in line to what everyone's complaints were. But I'm not sure how many people actually watched it, so there's that. Up next, we got news that Respawn is going to be making a new first-person shooter based on The Mandalorian. Or at the very least, there will be a Mandalorian character in this new Respawn FPS, which kind of seems like a match made in heaven. We'll talk about what we suspect or expect from that game. And finally, some big news, some middle news, I guess, maybe not big news. Xbox had a podcast this past week to basically go over details on a bunch of stuff that was speculated about them going third party. And he basically laid out exactly what the third partiness of their business update would be. And we'll talk about what those plans are and what that means for the future of Xbox as well. Here to discuss these topics with me, Ash Redux.
Hi, everybody.
What happened?
I just
you got real
it just gets
sad
sad.
all of a sudden.
It gets sadder and sadder every time I come to the podcast, and I still haven't streamed anything, so I just get sadder and sadder every time. But what's up, guys? It's Ash Rita.
What's good? Also joining us, Superman Jeff.
Hey, yip, how's it going?
Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you here. We were not here last week because last week was Super Bowl Sunday, if I'm remembering correctly. It feels longer than that, though. It feels like it's been several weeks for some reason. But as we tend to do, and because we weren't here last week, we might as well catch everybody up on what we've been doing, what we've been watching, what we've been playing. Anybody feel like jumping in first? And I see you, Tommy Salty, in the chat. What's up? As well as George Lucas. What's happening, y'all?
Yeah, what's going on?
Those are my guys.
Mr. Lucas.
Let me run in. Let me run in first.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Don't walk.
So listen. No. Go and run it. All right. So what? The little time that I have to play anything, I have played since the last time you guys see me too. I've been playing some Persona 3 Reload.
Right, that just dropped on everything, and is also including Game Pass, I believe.
And I've been playing that when I get some free time. And Tekken 8. Those have been the two things that I've been playing. I know hearing Ash fighting game, same sentence, unless he's saying I don't play in the middle or something like that. It's like, what do you mean? So I was like, let me just try this out a little bit. And after I tried it out, for some reason, something clicked in my head that made me go, I want to reach a respectable rank in this, and I don't know why. Like, I was playing, I was like, I feel the need to get to a respectable rank in this game. I told Kiba that. He immediately started sending me a bunch of gifs of anime rivals because he's like, this is going to be us. Keep going. But yeah, so I'm only going, my goal is red. The red ranks. I'm like, if I at least get the red, I'll feel proud of myself.
Where is red in terms of like Tekken rankings? Like, is that?
I think there's only like 3 above it. Hold on, I got you. Tekken ranks there. Tekken ain't rankings. I'm new to this. I didn't play Tekken beforehand. So after red, it goes ruler, not even a color, but ruler, blue, and then the gold / purples. So there's only 3 ranks above it. So it's kind of like, it's like here's the middle, and it's the rank above the middle.
Okay.
So that's that. I was like, if I get the red, I'll feel pretty good about myself.
Yeah, I'm very curious about Tekken, but like I have bounced off of its fighting system for a while now. Like we played some Tekken 7 here and there, like Jeff and I and some of the other open party folks. We have some folks who are really good at Tekken in the open party Discord.
Yeah, I know. I see them in there.
But like, yeah, like I don't know. Tekken has just never vibed with me, but I want to understand it more. Like I have Tekken 8. Like I've put in a little bit of time in the story mode, and the story mode was kicking my ass. Like I'm just not, I'm not getting it. But like,
I
yeah,
gotta
if you
get-
if you and Kiba are playing, I know some other folks are playing. Like, I do want to try to hop in and get some matches in with folks, and hopefully learn something
Okay.
and have it click eventually.
I went to so immediately the first thing I did was I went to the arcade quest thing,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah.
kind of like another story mode, basically.
Right.
But it's designed to be a story mode that teaches you with whatever character you want to use.
So
So like the
it's character
tutorials,
specific. It's not like just
yeah. So
Tekken fundamentals.
and what's cool, I mean, it's still like the fundamentals, but they do it based off what character you pick. So it's
Okay.
not just
Oh,
like it's the fundamentals
it's not
plus
generic, right?
yeah, plus the individual. So it's cool because if you pick one, and I went through the whole story as the person that I'm currently maining. I only use one person though, so but I went through the whole thing, came out feeling decent. It actually ranks you in that mode. Now, obviously, that's different from playing against real people, obviously, but I'm hoping because I haven't done it on online yet. I'm hoping that that translates to where I actually will end up if I start playing online, or at least
I will,
close. Because I
I
got
will
the
say
orange.
I got a couple
Mhm.
tips for you. Well, so there's fighting games for me that if I played the first one, everyone after that will I will instantly get back into. So like I
Hmm.
will instantly pick up where I left off, even if it's a different character. But because I played it before, Tekken's something I never really played because it was always a PlayStation exclusive. I played it in arcades, but I never played it enough to where I was put time into it. So
Hmm.
like even when we
Mhm.
played Seven a little bit, I that was actually when I finally started to spend some time in there learning different things. But like things like Street Fighter, um, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, those games are no matter what number in the sequence it is, if I pick it back up, I can usually get back into the flow of it. I will say
Mhm.
I would focus on one character and then
Mhm.
play that one character like nobody want like you got to pull a menu out. Like you can play nobody but that character so that way
Right.
you can get familiar with every aspect of that character. I feel like people make the mistake of, I mean, once you narrow down who you want to play as, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
when people start to dip around a lot, is they don't take in that information or retain it as much, if that makes sense, right?
I got you.
Um,
No, I can follow.
It's
and then
true.
I
Yeah, it's a
usually
bit
Yeah.
of a balancing
first
act.
first thing I do is go into practice. Well, first I look up the basics like counters and blocking, obviously all that stuff, or any special mechanics like the heat mechanic and Tekken. Obviously, you need to know that, otherwise there's no point.
Mhm.
Breaking grabs from like characters like King, being able to grab break because that's very important because he can kill you with like
I've
a
seen
whole string
videos
of
of
You
people
grabs.
gotta
being real
you gotta you
frustrated
gotta
by the
tech
king
out.
grabs.
If you don't tech, better
Yeah, you
tech.
gotta take out. And then going into the lab like practice mode and then getting down basic combos, setups, basic combos. And then the more you play the more you get used to it. But I think that's kind of where you should start. Like I want to play Tekken 8, but I don't know if I want to pay for it because we played Street Fighter, we didn't stay with that too long. Tekken 7 was
Mm.
Yeah,
different. I
I'm
did pay for it.
in my head. I'm gonna go back, but
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
stuff just gets in the way.
Yeah, you'll probably go back like at my funeral or something. That's how many years in that it'll probably be,
I mean,
right?
that's the thing. There's a lot of fighting games out now
There's
that
a
are
lot of
like
fighting
good
games.
and
Yeah.
fun. Like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is out. Like I have that, and I'm
Mm.
like I want to put time into that too. So there's a lot.
It is hard. Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm not gonna get it. I've been holding off on getting that because it looks great. I want to play it, but am I gonna spend that much time to it with everything else that's
Hmm.
coming out? Like I still, like I said, Street Fighter barely got. We played that. I read it barely got touched enough. But like, okay, Street Fighter 8. Now, if it was on Game Pass or at a discount, yes. But full price, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I demoed it first to see if I was really gonna like it, and then I returned my demo to purchase it afterward. So I had to do that to
Okay.
make sure I liked it first. I don't play fighting games. Okay, I was like, let
no,
me see if I'll
it's
even
fair.
get
Yeah,
into this. I
try it
mean,
out. Yeah, it's fair.
uh,
That makes sense.
but yes, oh, and that was the other thing too for Tekken 8 that I really enjoyed so far is one that arcade quest. Like I said, once you pick a character, you go through the thing. You can stop and switch anytime, and then it puts your rank back to 0 with that character, and you can
Uh,
redo all the tutorials with that character, and it kind of goes into okay, this is a good combo for this character to maybe learn as you're new to it and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then also the replay mode. Uh, I didn't notice until I saw like I was flip it through, YouTube Shorts or TikTok, one of them, I guess, and it came up for Tekken. It was like, if you actually save your replays for matches, whether you win or lose, you can go through those replays, and it'll tell you where you made mistakes. Like the game will actually say, "Hey, this was a good opportunity to punish right here," or "Hey, should
I
have been
had
more.
no idea.
As soon as I saw that, that's like insane.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Tekken 8 is like all of their tools to become a better fighter in that game seem really like amazing, like new age, honestly. Like the way you can like record ghosts and like jump into those replays to like actually do stuff. The fact that it's telling you like, hey, this was an opportunity, like that's really
and then
cool.
it gives you then it does the same training thing where it's like it tells you to combo, it'll demo it, like this is what you should have done right there, and then it puts you in there to then perform that same combo.
That is dope.
And that's what it does during the arcade quest too mode when it's like teach you something, you'll demo it. You can go into it and then you do it afterwards or whatever. They give you a lot. And the last thing was like you said with the ghosts, you can actually fight your own ghosts. So you can train up your ghosts yourself. It'll basically adapt to, so like I know for mine, and I got so mad when I went back to fight it again after I like play a little bit more. Because when I went back, it was doing a combo that I was like kind of just doing a lot when I first started. Like it was just my bread and butter. And it just did it back and I was like, oh, dang it. No, stop. I am annoying. Oh my God. Like, and then it did a move that I remembered how to do when I first started when the arcade quest taught me, but I didn't keep it in my arsenal through the way. So when I did it again, I was like, oh, right. I forgot it was a thing. It reminded me. So I went back to relearn how to do it. Cause I was like, that's a useful move that I just stopped doing. And I didn't, it's really cool to have a ghost, especially if you wait a little bit, not just so you can see how much you've improved, but it makes you go, oh, I forgot that was something I just took that out of my arsenal. But I think now that I've, got my foundation, I want to add that back in. So there's a lot.
Yeah, like all that stuff sounds amazing and is super impressive. And I kind of just wish it was in another fighting game because like Tekken just has not clicked with me yet, but I want it to. Like I want to get it. I don't get it, like I'll admit that, but I want to.
But that's what I've been playing. Even though I talk the most about Tekken, though, I love Persona, and that's probably as soon as I have like more than 30 minutes of free time, it's Persona. When I have only like 30 minutes to an hour, I'm doing Tekken because you can't do enough in Persona in an hour. So it's not worth.
You're like
if I only got an hour for Persona,
half of a dialogue tree.
Facts, actually facts. I love it, but facts.
But yeah, cool. So no TV shows, no nothing like that.
I've been watching all the stuff with my wife, so the Bachelor and Love Is Blind. So that's my TV time right now. Until we catch up on that.
To be honest, I saw a clip from Love Is Blind of this dude who was sitting. You know how they do like you can't see each other, but you're on opposite ends of the room. He's sitting in there telling his girls like, "Man, it's really important to me how you end up looking because I don't want to fall in love with like your personality and it's
you talking about Clay."
I don't know what his name is, but I found that clip hilarious because the whole point is to fall in love with somebody without seeing what they look like. And he was sitting there making an argument like, look, we might have a great connection, but like, if I look at you and you don't look how I want, we're going to have a problem.
Like, literally, sir, that's the experiment. Like, that's
like, what are you doing here, son?
No, you talking about Clay, and honest, and about going into extra stuff too. Clay actually is borderline toxic because
borderline.
Not just for that one. Listen. There's another part where she was because obviously they're talking to other people, so they're forming connections with other people a little bit too.
Right.
And when she mentions that, she comes in, she's like a little sad. She's being vulnerable with him. She's like, I had this the connection with this other guy, and this moment that she found out some information from one of the other girls in a conversation. She felt like he wasn't really talking to anybody else at all, based off the things he was saying. But she found her. So she was a little sad, but she wasn't like distrusting or anything, but she was just like sad, like, I really thought it was a thing. And, I've been struggling between thinking about me and him and me or with you instead. And when he heard that, this man got upset, like raised his voice a little bit at her and got a little aggressive. Like, after she said all that vulnerable a little and like crying a little bit, he's like, everything you said had nothing to do with me. What we blah 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 blah. He goes, I don't want people about no love triangle. I don't want people about no love triangle. What's going on? I was like, whoa. Chill out, bro. Chill out. First of all, you already knew she was in this thing. You talking to multiple women. What's going on? I mean, you chill out.
Yeah,
I need you chill out. As soon he had her in tears, bro. She was crying more legit after that, and then he left. He walked out of his room because they can leave whenever they want. They don't have to stay. Right. And he walked after like saying his piece. And I was like, ma'am, I don't know if you picking the other dude, if you like worried about him talking. Listen, just don't pick him.
Yeah, like that.
Please
What
don't
an
pick him.
a-hole. But
Guess,
I
that's
was
what's gonna
shaking.
happen. Like at the
guess who
end of the
she's gonna
day,
pick, though?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna get picked, right? Because these dudes get in their heads or whatever. That's sad. I'm a little mad that Netflix even selected a dude like that to put him on TV because they know it's gonna pull in the numbers of people who like the messiness, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that otherwise though, me and my wife fully watched the first season of the rebooted Rurouni Kenshin anime, and
Oh,
we are in the
nice.
middle, and we're in the middle of Mashley right now, season 1. We're almost done with season 1, I think, of Mashley.
I love the animation for Ronnie Kenshin. I think they did a great job of updating.
Yeah.
I think it looked really good. Yeah. I finished season, I think it's like 24 episodes.
Mm-hmm. And season 2 was already officially announced and stuff too, so I'm super excited for season 2 because that's when we get to Shishio, which is like most classic and recognizable villain in Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah, Rurouni Kenshin is honestly. Yeah, Band-Aid Man.
Yeah, Band-Aid Man.
Yeah, Rurouni Kenshin is honestly a little boring until Shishio shows up. Like I remember that from the original series.
It's a lot of character building and like setting the ground for like. I feel like season 1 is a lot of setup for season 2.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. You only got the 2 or 3 fights is with him and the first assassin dude who show up who kidnaps the love interest, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Kidnaps her. He shows a little Batosai, the manslayer, during that fight.
Right.
Which my two hiccups for this show so far is, even though it's very dated in the look, I always loved in the original one where they did like this weird like filter on top when he goes Batosai. It's like this weird red and purple filter with the outlines around him, and I remember as a kid when I watched it, it just made such a stark contrast difference of his usual happy face to this now different look on top of it. And the second is the soundtrack for the show. Not as good as the first one to me. I was actually surprised. I thought it was just me, but when I was on the internet, I was like looking at people talking about the show, and there was like on the season 2 trailer on YouTube, just a bunch of people saying, please get a different composer because the soundtrack is not as good as the OG. I was like, oh, I thought I was being a hipster for a second. What is this? I'm not alone for what?
Yeah, music's
it's fine, but it's not as memorable to me. Now the themes, the opening, I like the very first one and the close. I thought those were fine, but actual soundtrack during the show is where people are like, I don't feel like it's hitting that same ambiance or aesthetic that the original one did.
Gotcha.
For certain moments. But yeah, that's it. I'm done talking.
Like it wasn't that long ago. No, you could. It wasn't that long ago that Jeff was talking about how the music, like the soundtrack in anime, is kind of the unsung hero that actually like makes or breaks the show in a lot of cases. So like, yeah, that's super important.
I will say the music in the new iteration, I barely even noticed it besides the intro. Like it never played a part to where I felt like it helped set the tone for something, so that's probably the one place they probably dropped the ball, but other than that, it was pretty good.
Everything. I'm going to need them to make sure they go all the way past where the previous anime goes to where you keep reading in the manga because there's some great moments.
Yeah, because it stopped very early. It stopped very early.
Yeah, I remember hearing that there's stuff after Shishio, but like the anime was kind of done after that.
Dude, like there's a whole just a picture for anybody who only ever watched the original show. There's a certain picture of a moment that I feel like if I showed them, it won't spoil anything. You'll just be looking like, how did we get here? What is this? Why is my boy Humura looking how he looking? Like as soon as
got his hair, got a fade.
He got a fade.
Got the Apple earbuds in.
And you're just looking like, whoa. But yeah, if anyone who like, there's a picture. I remember that's how I found out there was more when I got older, way past when the anime was finished. I saw it online when I was just looking up like stuff for Rurouni Kenshin. I was like, oh, I wonder if they're ever gonna bring it back. Let me see it. And I saw this picture, and I was like, I knew it was from a manga. Like I could tell. Right. I was like, what the heck is this? I'm like, oh, what? Oh my god! Oh no, Kenshin, no. Yeah, it was crazy. It was good, but that's it.
That's nice.
Lampy talking about me fighting Cat. I'm gonna need him to chill with that too.
I mean that's the end boss, right?
I ain't fighting Cat. I don't even need to know what Cat's ranked. I just know it's much higher than Red.
That's the best way to learn.
Yeah, look, once you really want to get into Tekken, at one day you're gonna have to fight Cat. Them the rules.
Oh no. Them the rules. Let me leave the open party Discord real quick. Let me Let me kick myself out. Can I kick myself? I want to leave. I want to get kicked.
How about you, Jeff? Anything you've been playing or watching or
Yeah, so
just doing lately?
playing, I think over the weeks I've been playing Power in and off. I think it's a really good game to pop in and out of,
Okay.
Mhm,
right? So
mhm.
I can do some things I want, get off, go do some other things. Also, I just made some quality of life changes and like the custom rules. So like not dropping items on death.
Mhm.
To me
Oh.
that's pointless. You can change that so you don't drop your items on
It
death.
is pointless.
Um, Stuff like incubation time. I can do instant incubation time. Like so you
Mhm.
just hold the X button instead of waiting an hour later, right? That was one thing I always hated about Warframe is I did all this grinding and stuff, and then you want me to either wait 24 hours for something to craft, or
Mhm.
you want me to pay for it. So I shouldn't have to wait. If I search for this egg, put it in there, hold that X button, boop, hatch it. That's it. So just some quality of life stuff I thought made the game a little bit more accessible and easy for me to pick up and drop off. So that was one of them. Just going around catching pals, building up my base, um, leveling
Just
up.
pass. You catch some humans too, Jeff.
Now I've been
You be
trying
catching
not to do
humans.
the human things. You know what I'm saying? I don't want
Uh,
humans in real life, much less in my power world. It's all about
I'm
the
gonna just say it.
cosmetics.
I'm gonna just say it. Humans sell for a good amount of money. Okay, I don't know. I don't know
That's
what
what
else
I
to say.
heard.
I don't know other way
That's
to
what I
put it. They
heard.
sell for good money. All right.
Yeah,
They was shooting me prior too, so I'm just saying, why not sell
Yeah,
them?
like
I'm just saying.
those are just prisoners of war. In all honesty,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
like
He said,
hey,
"Hey,
I
Casey
see.
said it, not me."
that's how that
I
shakes
see
out.
people catching merchants and leaving them in their base and stuff like that. That stuff is cool. It's just
That's
I don't
smart
know.
though. But it's smart.
That's
You ain't gotta
kind of
go look
funny.
Yeah,
for them.
it is. People go like that. They're not in my base. They
So
work for
they
me.
still function as merchants after you catch them and
Yeah,
like
you
release
still
them.
have to pay for their goods, but they do work at the base. Like they'll do like
That's funny.
handiwork. Yeah,
I love it.
those
I
sweeps.
feel like it was an oversight, but I love it at the same time.
Yeah, they're probably
I
gonna
don't
fix
think it was
that later.
oversight. I think they very purposely wanted to enable like that because it's aside from the very social implementation or construct that hey, if you capture a person and make them work for you, that is slavery. Like, yeah, we all know that. In this video games context, it's more so the case of pushing the Pokemon formula to the extreme, right? They're giving the
It is.
Pokemon guns. They're allowing you to make the Pokemon work in a factory. So why can't you just catch any living thing with the Pow Ball, right? They're just pushing the
Yeah.
extremes of the rules of Pokemon. It's not necessarily a commentary on human society's
Right.
indentured
Yeah.
I
servitude or slavery. So like that's how at least I framed it in my head. But I get why some
That's
people are
fair.
like, oh, this is
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
I think they just
No.
didn't like. I think the code is just very similar for the between pals and the
The other
humans. Like
NPCs and
switching.
stuff. Yeah.
Right. I think
Yeah.
there's not that much difference between them, so that's why it works. I don't think some they either tried to stop or cared to implement. I think it's just something that works, and they're like because they've done a couple patches since then. That's not something they've patched because like well whatever you know.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think
Yeah.
it's like an oversight or a mistake. Like they
Oh,
know
oh
it's
yeah,
in
no, no,
there. They're fine with
no,
it.
no. Yeah, they knew it was because even when it first dropped, I was in there, and if you catch a human, it'll put in there in the description basically. I forget word for word, but
All
paraphrase
pops up
something
in the
along the
pal
lines of like,
decks.
yeah, and it puts in there like, yeah, hey, this isn't a pal, but sure, I guess you can still use it, like something
Oh,
along those
okay.
lines. So
Yeah.
it when I meant oversight like being able to catch a merchant and leave them at your base, so that way you don't have to like, I don't know, like some of it's like makes the game I won't say too easy, but it's either an oversight, like you're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't let them do that, or they were just like you were saying, let them push to the extreme, let them do whatever they want, and
Hmm.
if they
Mhm.
like it, they like it. It's
Right.
cool.
Yeah. Like
Right.
if they're
Uh,
having fun doing it, then
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Which
it is
I
why
don't know if
stop
you.
it?
it is your own sandbox. So like that's one of the
Mhm.
games where what you do makes it fun. You know what I'm saying? Like there's fun things in there, but that world is pretty not it's not super alive. So what you do makes it fun. If you
Mhm.
depending on your imagination, if you're not like really trying to do much, then it's going to be as fun as you limit it to. So I think that's one of the biggest things to take away from that as well. It's kind of like something like Forge mode or something where
Hmm.
as creative or as imaginative as you can be, that's how much fun you're gonna have.
Mm. I saw. I don't know if you guys saw. There was like a big like major dev with Power World or a marketing manager or something. He put out because people were like, "Oh, Power World's dropping off. Oh, it's not. They're not releasing enough content, new content. So it's getting boring." and he went on record and basically told was like, "Hey, you can play other games,
Yeah,
guys.
like
Like
it's fine for people
it's
to
not
take
a
a
big
break.
deal."
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
was the
he
CEO.
literally
He's
he
pretty
was like,
vocal on Twitter.
he's
The
like,
CEO of
"Okay,
Pocket
Yeah.
play
Pair.
something else." He's like, "We know how this works. It's for every other game. Some people drop off, some people keep playing. We'll drop new stuff. New people will come, returning people will come. They'll play for a while, drop it." He's like,
That's how
it's
it is.
fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. We're not worried about that." I was
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
Especially
like
because it's not a full game anyway.
it's not.
It's a
Yeah, it's
preview.
still very much in early access and whatnot. But
Um,
yeah, what else you got?
Playing wise, I did jump back on Fortnite, for a quick game, and they added all the Ninja Turtle stuff. So like they have like when they do the events, they'll have like uh legendary stuff around where you could pick up like dual katanas, you could pick up the nunchucks, you can pick up the the little scythe, you can pick up the bow staff, and they have different move sets for them,
Okay,
kind of like they did with the lightsabers and stuff when they
right.
dropped that. So they have that, and they have some Ninja Turtle themed stuff
And
around
all that
there.
stuff just it becomes like pickups in the regular battle royale game mode,
Right,
right?
right, absolutely. So it's like a weapon, pretty much. You go find it's laying on the ground. You can go pick it up. Um, and I think because it's weird how they did it. They released the turtles a couple months ago, and then they released the game mode for it like
Hmm.
a couple months later. But like I bought all the turtles. I bought all four of them. Like as soon as they dropped, I'm like, let me get all these turtles. Let
Okay,
me get them all. So like that's the only people I'm gonna play as for now on.
but the different skins, do they do different things? Like do
No,
they no?
they no, they just look different. Like obviously
Sure,
Michelangelo,
right, right.
like right. But
Because I know
there's no
they
like
have like their specific weapons, but you're saying like the weapons themselves are kind of just pickups. So like
right.
any
So
turtle could
you
basically just
have
pick up any other turtle's weapon.
right, but like you have the as the turtle as any character, you have like their mining weapon for the most part.
Hmm.
So that's their pickaxe. You can have his dual katanas, and you'll have a back bling, which is his dual katanas.
Right.
But in the game, the drops, any character can pick up the drops. Doesn't matter if you're a turtle or not. You can pick up the weapons and stuff. So I popped in for that. They added some new stuff to that. I got a quick crown win. That was really good. So my first time back in a while. Got a quick crown win because they have a special event going on where you can unlock points, like a mini battle pass, and at the end you can unlock Shredder. So you can unlock the regular Shredder, and then he has like an alt costume where he has like Mega Shredder with like the extra blades and
Yeah,
stuff
like the
from
super
like
shredder,
from like the most recent, not the most recent one, the one before that, the most recent Ninja Turtle one, the more
like the
futuristic one looking one.
yeah, like well, that was like mid 2000s or something.
Yeah,
Where like they like the art style, like they had like dark outlines and like you only see
yeah,
like the whites of their eyes with the bandanas, like
yep,
that one.
yep. So that Shredder, so like you said, Super Shredder and the regular Shredder. So you can unlock that stuff. Besides that, I haven't played much. Watched a couple things. So I watched the Seven Deadly Sins, the Knights of the Apocalypse,
What is
or
that?
it takes. So that's a spin-off from the Seven Deadly Sins. So it takes
Oh
place
right, Seven
16.
Deadly. Oh crap, I forgot about
Yeah,
that show. That
there you
that show
go. That
still. I'm
yeah,
sorry that the second season of that show put me all the way off.
it
Like
fell off. Yeah, it fell off. But I
I didn't
will
know they were
say,
still
like,
doing more.
yeah, they did a spin-off like just 16 years later after the original series.
Is it the same characters or this is
So
like
you
a
know how
different
they do,
situation?
where they have it's brand new characters, but they have callbacks to some of the older characters. We'll
Uh
see
huh.
them sometimes. This one, I think the writing and stuff is very good so far. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's really good. Um, Solo leveling
Hmm.
been hitting.
yes.
Has been hitting. I will say like and this is one of the reasons why I brought up the music conversation before and reference to anime because I was watching the last episode, won't spoil it, but like there was this part where things got really serious and then the beat dropped and I was just like, "Oh man." And then he just went off. And I'm like the music kind of like just amplified that like tenfold. I was just like, "Oh, woo." Like I felt it. You know what I'm saying? Like anime is good when you feel it. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's you got a little tear coming down or you get hyped, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was it's off to a really great start, right? I don't want to overhype it. I think it's really good. I think it's off to a great start.
Yeah. Heard good things.
I read the entire webtoon. That's been really great. So I'm loving seeing the translation and then the changes like they make from the manga over to here. You can call you. I mean, it's canon, so you can't really call it filler. But the stuff they add in that happens in between pages from the manga that translate better in the anime. You know, we see that with like One Piece and stuff, where
Mm-hmm.
things will get expanded in the anime that they really couldn't touch on because it's it's on a page. You know what I'm saying? So there's only so much stuff you can see in between. Um, watching. I think. Oh, I started Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh, I did too, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We started
tell me
started
both.
that on
Both of you tell me how
Valentine's
it
Day.
is.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's good. I don't think I've watched enough to form a concrete, but I think Donald Glover does a great job, and I can't remember her real name, but
Maya Erskine, I think.
okay, nice. Um, I think she also does I think the overall structure, like I'm glad they changed it up a little bit from
From like
Mr.
the
and Mrs.
movie.
Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
to us because in the movie they were, and I won't go into the show. In the movie they were they just happened they met each other, they fell in love, and they both just happened to be
Yeah,
spies for
yeah. It
different
was
organizations.
I actually like because me and my fiance were watching it, and my younger brother walked in the house and was like, "Oh, I watched this already," and like we all were in agreement, like, yeah, this premise is way better than the movie's premise. The movie's premise, like in retrospect, or maybe even during the time, because I don't think the movie was that well received, but like
Right,
the premise was kind of dumb.
right,
Like Brad Pitt and Angelina were both spies for independent organizations, and they just happened to meet in the same location, like really like each other enough to marry one another, but neither one knew anything about the other one. And then each of their organizations, um, either they found out that they were both counter spies or whatever, or like just by chance was like, hey, your next mission is to kill this person, and that person ended up being their spouse. So it's like that's very cartoonish, honestly.
It
right.
is really.
And like and
Yeah.
this version is like it's still kind of out there in terms of like, hey, this secret organization that's just, contracting people to pretend to be married or whatever. But this is a little more grounded and believable in how they kind of put them in the situation. And honestly, like just seeing that it's basically a rom-com, like if you really think about it, but it's all
Mhm.
set in like espionage and spy work or whatever. And so it's just a really interesting way to frame that sort of story. So like I'm enjoying it so far because like it's been fun to see like how the dynamic of like, hey, two people who don't know each other are getting to know each other and are starting to form feelings for each other, but in the
Mhm.
realm of, oh, we got to do assassination missions, we got to do
Right.
drop offs, we got to do like it's funny, like it works.
Yeah, because it gets away from that. It winds you into that stuff where, oh yeah, you know, have the romantic stuff going on, they're bonding and stuff, and then it grounds you back to, oh yeah, but guess what? You got to kill somebody also. Like
Right, yeah.
remember what
It's
you're
like
doing here.
whiplash with the kind of like the
Yeah,
situations they go back and forth with. So like, yeah, I'm liking it.
yeah, I think it's really good. And pretty much that's all I've been watching and playing.
Okay. I mean, bouncing off of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because yeah, I've been watching that as well. I also finished that new Netflix series for Vince Staples, the Vince Staples show on Netflix.
I've been seeing that pop up.
Yeah, like if anyone doesn't know, Vince Staples is a rapper. He was on Abbott Elementary recently, like near the end of the second season, where he's playing like Janine's. Well, he's playing Gregory's best friend, who then starts dating Janine, and Gregory likes Janine. It's a whole love triangle situation. But his character's pretty funny on Abbott Elementary. But Vince Staples in general, I've always thought was like a funny dude. Like I'll see him in interviews, or like he'll like just talk about like stuff that's coming out from him, and he's just really entertaining. He's also been on like Insecure as himself. Like Issa like hires him to like do a show, or whatever. But his music, I'm kind of iffy on. Like I tried to get into Vince Staples back in the day, and like really only like two songs of everything I've heard from him so far. Like he's not bad, he's just not my cup of tea. But outside of like just thinking he's funny and like liking a little bit of his music, I don't know that much about him for him to get a whole Netflix series, because he's definitely trying to branch out into acting or whatever. But come to find out, the Vince Staples show is essentially like his version of Atlanta, like Donald Glover's show Atlanta. Whereas it's him, he's in Long Beach, California, because he's a West Coast guy, and it's him kind of living a pseudo version of his life. Like he is Vince Staples, he is a rapper, but he still kind of has, he lives, with a girlfriend. Like like he has to deal with like his mom who's like hyperly aggressive and ghetto and stuff, and like it's kind of just this surreal version of his real life. But they do the same kind of thing that Atlanta did, where you end up in a situation that is so bizarre, and you're like, this isn't the real world. Like no one behaves and acts
Right.
like this. But it's kind of missing a couple of steps, whereas Atlanta will kind of slowly lead you down this path of like, this is getting more and more weird and intense until you end up in a place where it's like, this is way left field, but I know how we got here. Vince Staples will kind of hit a corner and just be super weird without really explaining it. Like some episodes are better than others, and it's a limited series, it's only like 5 in total. But there's, without spoiling too much, there's one episode where he just ends up being jumped by a bunch of mascots at like an amusement
Uh,
park, and
I think
like
I've seen that.
you
Like, it's
like
like I
that like
think
a
that's like
clip.
one of the preview parts of it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's like the situation that got him there, like you cannot draw a line from like how the episode started to why he's in this back room just getting stomped out by a bunch of mascots. Because like just in context, looking at that scene, it's funny. Like this is a silly, funny situation, but it's like I don't know why this is happening. Like there's more questions and like what on your mind than like kind of laughing at the resolution of how you got to the situation. So I feel like it needed to like bake a little more. Like it seems like it's definitely chasing Atlanta vibes. Like Vince Staples
Right.
or his team or somebody saw Atlanta, and Kenya Barris is an executive producer for this show. Kenya Barris is the dude who does Blackish,
Okay.
and did Black AF with that awful Netflix series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like so Blackish I think is his only like good thing. Everything else he's done has been kind of iffy. At least if he's like the main writer on it, because he also I think helped with Kid Cudi's Intergalactic movie. But this one is better than that because I don't think he was the main person behind it, but he is involved. But it feels kind of rushed, like they were chasing Atlanta's fame because I guess Donald Glover is done with that show. So like, oh well,
Yeah.
let's be the next Atlanta then. And so like if you really miss Atlanta, like maybe this will fill in that gap. But Atlanta, at least to me, is a much better show. But it's not that bad. Check it out if it sounds interesting at all to you. Outside of that, I been playing a game called Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden.
Oh,
It came out recently. I want to say like the 13th or something.
wait, is that the one with the two ghost hunters
Yes.
and the one of them dies?
Yeah, yeah. Like this is not a
Okay.
spoiler. This is like like the whole intro of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
series. Like yeah, you're playing two ghost hunters. They call themselves Banishers, and they get called into this town that is dealing with a particularly bad like curse. And so this is the early game where something happens and they get separated, and then the female banisher, a black woman named Antea, ends up killed in that encounter. And they were together, these two banishers. Like Red, who was the Scottish guy, he is her apprentice. Like she was a banisher before him, and she's like teaching him. So like
Mm.
he's like coming up under her in terms of like banisher skill level. But she gets killed, and then essentially haunts him after the fact, which is bad.
Oh, is
Like
does she
because
haunt him because he's like, oh, she died and I'm not as good as she was, so I think I'm just gonna go be a cobbler and leave this life behind. And she haunts him because he never avenged her death.
no. It's actually like a really cool because like just before that stuff happens, like Antea is like a hardliner. She's like, I don't care what these ghosts have to say. I don't care what it is they're
Oh,
doing
that's
here. They
okay.
gotta go. Like life is for the living, death is for the dead, right? And so like a situation like that happens just before this, and so this new situation basically makes her a hypocrite
Right.
because she decides she has unfinished business. Like she can't leave things the way she would need to leave them, and so she ends up haunting her boyfriend Red. And then Red, as you are now playing as Red, make the decision. All right, now that you're haunting me, I'm either going to go through some sort of forbidden ritual to bring you back to life. We just need to get back to your body, which is like being uh, guarded by
Preserve.
this badass ghost that we just got beat up by, or
Oh, dang.
we're gonna go through the process of making you ascend so that you can actually leave this mortal plane, right?
Mm.
And they make you make that decision fairly early on. And
Oh man.
honestly, like it's one of the best parts of the game because as the game starts, like you kind of just you meet this couple who is very much in love, but you as the player don't really get what their deal is. Like you don't know their history, you don't know their connection to each other. Like you don't necessarily care or have a connection to their relationship.
Right.
But after that situation happens and you have to make that decision, they make you swear an oath. Like, I promise you that I'm going to do either this, I'm going to bring you back to life, or I'm going to help you, ascend so that you can leave Earth or whatever. And like they somehow managed to frame that in such a meaningful way. Like from that point forward, I was very invested in their relationship, like about how much they cared about each other, and either choice made sense to me. Like Red could have said either one, and it would have made sense based on like just their interactions just before that, and like my feelings on like how I wanted to role play the character and stuff. So like that setup was just really really strong, and then the game afterwards is not bad. Like it's kind of like it feels like a lighter God of War in terms of combat and stuff. Like it's over the shoulder third person, like really dramatic slow mos on like jumping attacks and combos and stuff. You swap between Red and Antea because now that she's haunting him, she can kind of possess him and like take over his body and have like a ghostly version where she can like use her attacks to damage like the spirits because you only fight ghosts, but the ghosts can possess like the corpses of not living things,
Okay.
but like of like dead wolves and like dead soldiers, like skeletons and stuff. So like Red is better at beating up the physical stuff because he's like on the human plane, and she's better at like damaging the spirits directly because everything that's possessed you have to knock the spirit out of first and then kill the spirit afterwards. So it's kind of a cool mechanic. There's uh there's not as many kinds of enemies as I would have liked, but the game is pretty lengthy. Like I think it's like 30 hours in length. And they do start to introduce new stuff, but it's over a long period of time. So like you'll play like a good 5-6 hours before you start getting new enemies show up, and then it's another 5 hours until like another new class of enemy shows up, and then they throw them in the mix here and there. But
Okay.
the navigation's cool. Like the world building is great. Like great conversations with like NPCs and stuff. Like as you are going through the game, you're like you guys are investigators. Like think of it as like Supernatural, right? Where like you show up someplace, there's stuff going on, and you got to figure out how to deal with it. Like figure out what kind of ghost it is. And then like you guys like will refer to like your studies and your skills. It's like, oh, this is how you. It feels a little bit like The Witcher in that way, right? Where it's like,
I
oh,
was gonna say it's Witcher for there. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and when you mentioned that switching between like what type of sword you use as well, kind of reminded me of you saying like the physical versus like the supernatural plane or whatever, because you
Uh-huh.
got the one sword that's better for like humans and another sword that's better for monsters
Yeah,
almost too.
yeah.
It's
It's
kind of
similar in that
like
way too. So like yeah, it
that's
works.
cool.
Like everything in context makes a lot of sense. The moral dilemmas that you're presented with when you do these investigations, because and again, not a spoiler. This is like the oath that you make in the beginning, but like in order
Mm.
to bring her back to life, you need to sacrifice people, and so you end up in these
Oh.
situations where this person did something awful, but did they have a good reason? Like was it justifiable what they did? And like these are the situations that they keep presenting you with, and you have to decide like, all right, am I going to basically judge this person for their actions and then use that soul as part of the collection I need to do to bring back Antea, or do I say like no, like you deserve to like live your life even after the situation you've been through, and then like you let let whatever ghost is haunting them like you either like send them to hell or you like send the ghost to heaven if the ghost was innocent or whatever, like based on the situation. So like you have these options in these different situations, but at the end of the day like there's a scale. Like you have to weigh like how much people you sacrifice, how many ghosts you like ascended to heaven, whatever, and that's going to determine whether or not you can actually keep your promise to Antea that you made in the beginning of the game.
That reminds me of Fable 3, if you remember.
Yes.
Towards the end when you had to, obviously your brother was the big bad king, he was doing all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of find out he thought
Mm.
he was doing what was right to prepare for this war, and
Uh-huh.
now you're king and you made all these promises to people. You have to choose: do you keep your promise and empty out the coffers
Right.
and deplete your funds for the upcoming war, or do you renege on your promises and keep the coffers full to prepare for what's coming. And based on
Right.
the decisions that you made is depends on how the game turns out.
Yeah, like that concept was really cool. They just didn't like Fable 3 just didn't handle it well. That ending section ended up not being very good.
Yeah.
But like yeah, I've not finished it yet, but I'm very anxious to see the end and like the results of like all the decision making that I've had to do. But it's been fun so far. Like I very much like it. I like the gameplay. I like the writing. It feels fresh, like this sort of storytelling. And it's from Don't Nod, the people who do the Life is Strange type
Yeah, George
games.
Lucas said that. Yeah, don't nod.
Oh.
They've been that showed up a couple places that I've been watching before. I think because the scene I remember is like they both were sitting at a table or something, and it talks about how she didn't like ghosts before and how she became one, and
Yeah, like
like you said,
it was their
the
job
hypocrisy.
to exercise ghosts. Like, and she like apparently she's like really good at it. And she's been doing it for a really long time. And so like it's like yeah, now that she's a ghost, she's like f everything I was saying before, and like that's a factor. Like other characters that you meet down the road like will call her out on it, and like it's just a really interesting situation and dynamic. Like I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it's very supernatural. You know what I'm saying? Very like, oh, I'm Sam and this is Dean and he's dead and this and
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
it's
and
like
I gotta try to
supernatural,
bring him back, and I'm gonna make a deal with a demon at a crossroad.
right? Yeah, they've done that exact thing actually.
Nope.
But
Not
yeah,
the exact thing.
I think that is all I have. Well, I listened to Kanye's new album, Vultures. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good album. There are like pieces of it that feel like there could have been something here,
Hmm.
but overall, like it feels very much like rushed and unfinished, and like Ty Dolla Sign's involvement is there's a literal song called "Paid" on the album, which is I think the first time you hear Ty Dolla Sign on the album. It's like track two, and he just says, "I'm just here to get paid." Like 10 times in a row. Like that's the chorus. I'm just here to get paid. And it's like, did they know that that sounds that way? Like, are they trying to be funny, or like did that go over their heads that like it sounds like Ty Dolla Sign's like, yeah, I know, but I'm just here to get paid because like it's so on the nose. But like yeah, most of the songs are just not good, or like they start off and like you can hear the potential, and then like they kind of go off the rails. And it is sad because like I honestly like because I'm hearing that it's like charting and like it's doing
Yeah, I
well
saw it
numbers
and I was
wise,
like, oh,
and I'm
okay.
like that kind of sucks because like I don't want more music like this. Like in my opinion, this is Kanye's first like really big miss. Like Yeezus was probably his worst album before this in my opinion, and even that one was like all right, this was very experimental, and he was self aware of the fact that it was experimental. Like he put tracks on that album that basically said like I could do the stuff you guys want me to do anytime I want. And like he was putting it like in the middle of a song, he was just like, hey, look at this dope ass beat that I could have just put on here, but I'm not doing that right now. I'm doing this. And the thing he was doing just wasn't hitting for everybody, right? That album still has like maybe like half to a third of it is still very re-listenable. Yeezus, I'm referring to.
Hmm.
But I don't feel that way about Vultures. At least not yet. Like I'm still coming back to it here and there because like I said, like there are a couple of tracks that's like, all right, well, this is okay in pieces, but like it's rough. Like I've been saying for ages that the man just needs help. Like he needs to kind of just stop doing things and spend some time working on like his health, like mental health, physical health, because he doesn't like look great as of late either. Like all the stuff that's going on with him and his like it's so messy and annoying, and like I wish he didn't feel so compelled to keep pushing himself to like kind of get back to where he was or like be in the spotlight, whatever. Like take a break and go fix your soul, fam.
Yeah.
And then if after all that, like you still have like, creativity to give to the world, then like go back and make music. But like you need to take a break. That's how I feel. I will say though,
Abs-
um, one the first single he released has his daughter on it, Northwest, and that song is actually really cute. Like it's not again like it's not a great song, but like as a arrangement and like with her vocals and stuff on it, like it shows potential. Like I feel like if his daughter wants to pursue this sort of thing, like if she takes it serious, whatever, like having Kanye as a mentor, because Kanye was taught everything he knows as well. Like he was taught production by a bunch of like old school Chicago dudes like No ID and whatnot. He could pass that on to his daughter, and she could be the next Kanye. In all honesty, I can like her on this song feels like that. So hopefully like there's like a future for like his brand of production because like as far as I'm concerned, like it's still unmatched. Like there's very few music makers that still kind of can do what Kanye does. Like I would say like maybe Labyrinth is the closest. But like I'm gonna be real upset if like we just don't get any more quality music of that scale going forward. But yeah, that's my mini review. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. So we'll move on. We'll get into the Dice Awards winners, and I don't think we'll spend a ton of time on this because it's an award show that really focused on the awards, and this is the thing that people were asking for, right? Like after the Game Awards, got such criticism for like there were too much trailers, there were too many celebrities, they were cutting people off when they were getting their award speeches, they weren't announcing the actual awards that they were nominating people for, like they were kind of glossing over them. The Dice Awards are very different. I didn't see the full thing, like I was out of the house, but I watched like the back third. They had Greg Miller and Stella Chung, I believe, as hosts. They were doing a lot of like joke, like they were telling a bunch of jokes like in between whatever presenting awards, and they were fine. Like I generally like Greg Miller, like I think he's a funny dude, but like the buttoned up sort of feeling of awards shows, I felt like was kind of draining the energy. Like people in the audience even were kind of like not giving them anything. And bless Greg's heart, because he was still shooting at like 100%. Like he didn't seem phased by the fact that like the crowd wasn't giving him anything. But he got a couple like big laughs here and there. So I think he did a great job as a host. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back, but like maybe, like, I don't know. I feel like the audience got to be a little more. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is when you're like a group of devs sitting in a room. Why you would be disengaged from, like, this is your show. Like, this is the show you all want. Right. You're going to be celebrated here. Give some energy to the people who are on that stage. It's a little strange to me.
And that's my question. Is like, okay, so a lot of people complained about the Game Awards where the developers didn't get much time, and this was like a kind of juxtaposed to that, where and now you're saying that the developers weren't as involved, right? Mm-hmm. So the question is, how do you find the medium? Because that's why you have the game trailers, you have the celebrities to pull in that attention and keep people engaged.
Yeah, like the general public like comes to watch that stuff, right? And then they just happen to see some awards on the side.
So how do you like find a happy medium between the two?
It's a good question. Like I'm wondering, that's the thing. I like seeing stuff like that. I don't think the general public cares that much. Like it might not be worth it to actually stream something like the Dice Awards out to the public.
I think it's mostly just for the fanboys to be like, oh yeah, our game won. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we got the best games. Like
I think that's what the award shows are in general. I think that's how people treat them in general. It's just the fan.
like a fantasy draft type thing. Or like basically just validation for like their opinion, right? Like, oh, this was my favorite game that I played this year, which means it must be better than all the other things that have come out. Therefore,
Spider-Man 2,
right? Which we'll get to, won 6 awards last night, which is a lot.
Right?
Like it would like
compared to the video game, right? Compared to not winning versus Baldur's Gate, right? That was a big criticism. Is people were saying, oh, how come Spider-Man 2 didn't win over Baldur's Gate? And I think that this was kind of like their way of validating them. Like, oh, well, here you go. Here's everything. So, and they still found a separate role for a sub role for Baldur's Gate to run role-playing Game of the Year.
Well, no, Baldur's Gate did win Game of the Year here.
It did. I
Yeah,
thought
it's
Ubisoft
still.
didn't.
Yeah, but
Oh, no, it's
Spider-Man,
still one
Okay, I'm
game of the year
sorry.
too.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Spider-Man
I
2
saw
kind of
something
just
else.
cleaned up
Yes,
almost everything else.
everything. Outstanding achievement in original music composition, character. I mean, sorry. Yep, character. Um, achievement in animation. So yeah, it racked up a whole bunch. Okay, yeah, I see.
I want to add in something real quick too. One of the things even I at least appreciate for the video game awards is that they give you their descriptor of what winning this award means.
Hmm.
Because I want to know what they define as the outstanding technical achievement. Not saying I don't think Spider-Man 2 could win it. I just want to know what they mean exactly when they
Sure.
Oh,
say
Right.
outstanding
like
technical
what are the
achievement.
parameters for winning
Because
it?
like
Like
I'm
what?
right, because when I look at that, like whatever that parameter actually is, I didn't play Spider-Man 2 yet. I want to. I don't have a PlayStation anymore, so I'm just patiently waiting for it to eventually come to Steam, like
Hmm.
2 years from now, I guess. But I know a lot of people said like Alan Wake 2, when it comes to like when I hear technical achievement, I know Alan Wake 2 with actual tech that goes into the design of the game, like the ray tracing that and how to utilize ray tracing, how to utilize a bunch of different
Hmm.
forms of technology to create the game, and the actual like fidelity of the game and everything is actually really amazing. Didn't play that one too. I just heard from people I know and then watching Digital Foundry on like YouTube or whatever because
Right,
they
right.
they always do like a super deep dive. So like when they say technical achievement, I'm like, what do they mean? I know Hogwarts Legacy, and that's why even though I liked Hogwarts Legacy, but it was like really barren in a lot of places. Not,
Hmm.
I think it was still good for what it was, especially it's probably like the best Harry Potter game I've ever played. So like if I put it in that realm,
Yeah,
great.
like
But
in comparison to
um,
everything that came before it, like it's probably very
yeah,
easily the best
um,
Harry Potter game.
so I don't know this, but like the tech of like just the even though it's empty in a lot of places, it's like at least when it comes to actual like the Hogwarts castle itself
Hmm.
and them utilizing being able to recreate a lot of the feel of the magic legitimately while you're exploring the halls of Hogwarts and stuff. So I'm like, what do they count as technical achievement? Because again, I didn't play Spider-Man 2, but I didn't see anything technical wise that I felt like would have been too different from the last two Spider-Man
Well,
games that they developed.
if you remember, there was a lot of hubbub over the SSD
Mm.
work for Spider-Man 2, like how fast
Mm-hmm.
you can actually
Yes.
travel through like their New York City, and like how also the fast travel
Yeah.
thing, like you would basically go in the
Mm-hmm.
menu, select somewhere on the city, and then it would almost instantly throw you like zoom into the map and
Mm-hmm.
just put the character there like almost instantaneously. So like
Okay.
funnily enough,
Now that.
at the Dice Awards, which is a developer focused thing, I feel like outstanding technical
Mm-hmm.
achievement probably means a lot more because the people who are on those
Yeah.
boards and the people who make that stuff can really see how in depth the actual
Mm-hmm.
technicality of what they built is. So that like your peers are saying like, hey, you
Yeah.
did a great bang up job in terms of just building a game. So that's probably like a really big achievement. But me
Right.
as a non-game dev who doesn't really know much about how things get made, I was kind of surprised that Tears of the Kingdom didn't win because I saw a lot of devs online
Mm.
essentially kind of going like, it's crazy that Nintendo built this sort of building block system with physics and
Right.
interactions in that big open
Mm-hmm.
world. But then again, like it is a Nintendo game, and like they kind of like it's hard to basically like they spend a lot of time and energy on that aspect, but like maybe in the grander scheme of things, it's like all right, well technically this isn't as impressive as this other thing that is high definition and is like pushing
Yeah.
processing powers or whatever. But I mean, I guess that's a personal preference, right?
Yeah. And that's why I would love to know it because in another one like the finals, didn't play a lot of that, but it's like taking just the way the environment and the
Yeah,
way
like the
you're able to like
destruction.
destroy
Totally
and all that
destructible.
stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like that's why I was like I can see why that's there for Tears of the Kingdom. Like you said, especially with the uh wow, you think I remember the name of stuff right now. The new skills you can use with the hand and everything, and just be able to
Ultra
put
Hand, yeah.
whatever. Thank you.
Yeah.
Being able to basically build whatever you want with that.
Mhm.
Alan Wake 2 for the actual like stuff that I was talking about with how to utilize the actual like the tech that they use to create the game that makes the game like pop and look as good as it does and
Because
everything.
honestly, whatever engine Remedy uses, it's phenomenal. Like that game looks
Yeah.
so good.
And that's what I was gonna say I was wondering what the definition is because for me I would have put Baldur's Gate 3 over Hogwarts Legacy if it was gonna have another spot there,
Mhm.
but I don't know what they count as a technical achievement because for me when it looks like the when for Baldur's Gate 3, I'm just like all the aspects that you have to code in to make this game work. Just that alone, like I can't imagine like if there was just like a full just one page. Obviously, that's not how it works. But if there's just one page of code for each of these games, right? And if it's just like how long is the code it takes just to create a game like this with all the different variables that it has for anything that can be going on at any time, things are still happening in the world while you're going. Like usually like Hogwarts Legacy, Spider-Man 2. There's not really much going on when you're doing something else. While Baldur's Gate 3, there's literally a whole world happening in the background, and you will miss something if you like continue progressing through time of this like the overarching story. That'll just you'll be gone. And it also changes things later on in the game, and you might not even know why. So you go play it again, you're like, oh, this is why this happened. Because if I actually came over here before I continued to the next area of the game, I could have stopped them, and these people wouldn't have died. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I'm like, what counts as technical achievement? Because I like Hogwarts Legacy, but other than like I said, like,
it didn't, like
the world design,
just the
like, so I'm like
environments and stuff, right?
Right. So like, what's the actual technical achievement for this? Because then I'm like, if Baldur's Gate 3 was there, how would that have fared in difference between all the other ones? Which like I said before, I liked all the other ones there too. I think they all have very good like ways to gauge their technical achievement. So yeah, I just wish they defined some of them more, so I just knew exactly like how they picked it. So I agree with you. I'm not a dev, so if they picked Spider-Man 2, I'm sure they had good reason. I just wish I knew for the ones that I don't know, like the descriptor of what this means per se, that so I can at least have a better understanding on why they picked the certain things that they picked.
There's also the possibility, because there are humans involved in the voting process, that they are being political. So like maybe they wanted to include Hogwarts Legacy in certain categories, even if they're not going to nominate it, even if they're not going to actually vote for it. They're like, but let's get it in here so that we can show it recognition because they respect their peers or something. You know what I mean?
That's a speculation. I don't think Hogwarts Legacy isn't in any other category, to be honest with you.
It's not in anything else?
No.
I don't think so.
I didn't see it. And then also, like, I feel like
it's not.
If they
so
do have
there you go.
System, if they do have internal metrics for judging how these games win, they definitely would make it public, just because if they don't, they'll say they do. But if they do, they're not going to make it public anyway, because then people will pick it apart. We're saying, well, oh, this game checks all those boxes and it does it better than those games, right? At least here, like, because you leave the question is, we don't know what the metrics were. So now you're like, well, you can say a game might have done something better, but you can't say specifically it reached these particular metrics and did it better, because you don't know what those metrics are. So it leaves it very much, very ambiguous, but also it makes it hard to scrutinize it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But I want to scrutinize it.
I mean, we're gonna do that anyway, so you might as well. But yeah, so any other big winners here that you guys feel like maybe were vindicated by here versus like kind of what happened in the Game Awards? Like, I didn't see any love given to Armored Core 6 anywhere.
Which was surprising.
No love for.
I feel like I don't know how I feel about this one. And this is another one where, like, what do you define? Because for outstanding achievement in animation, I feel like I would have picked Hi-Fi Rush over Spider-Man 2.
You know, I don't know. I feel like that does sound right. Like,
but then I'm like, am I thinking of art direction versus animation? I think
you are thinking of art direction. Yeah, like, because like animation is like literally how the characters move, like how the world moves, right? And like,
yeah.
Like the way they have those characters and like enemies interact in Spider-Man 2 is definitely much more in depth than like what goes on in Hi-Fi Rush. Like,
that's true.
Hi-Fi Rush does have great animations and stuff too, like with his combat. But Spider-Man 2 definitely is, I think, a step above.
Over Final Fantasy 16. I haven't seen really much or watched much of Final Fantasy 16 because I knew eventually one day I'll maybe play it, so I'll just keep it like little. Not what about for animation versus that? Because I know from the little trailers I saw before it released, I was like, "Oh, this game looks really good."
That would probably be a closer race in my mind, because I played the demo for that, but I didn't play it in full either.
Okay,
but yeah, that probably would be more on par with going up against Spider-Man 2 in that specific department. But I mean, Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man 2 won a lot. Like the folks who were in behind the scenes voting for this really like Spider-Man 2. And
Yeah,
like weirdly enough, I feel like a lot of like more double A-esque games kind of got recognized at the video game awards versus the
like
DICE
there's
awards.
Thirsty Suitor showed up in a couple of I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. I played the demo
Yeah,
for it. It
like
showed up in a decent amount of little category. I was like, oh look, Thirsty Suitors. Wow. I showed it again. I was like, oh snap,
like I
nominated
don't
twice.
like I didn't see what
I
do you
think
call it?
Cocoon
Ghost
is
Runner
an indie
2.
game too.
Cocoon is an indie game, but that comes from some pedigree. Like those are guys
Mm,
who previously worked on Inside and Limbo. Like
Yeah.
they split from those
gotcha.
studios.
Okay.
But like I didn't see like Ghost Runner 2 on here. I didn't see Humanity on here. And these are games that like I played last year, so like I'm familiar with them. But like they were really good. Like in comparison to all the other stuff I played, like those games are still in my mind. They were really good. I feel like they're just missing entirely in terms of any recognition. No nominations, no wins. And the Game Awards, at
Mm.
the very least, like nominated them in places. Like they knew that they were there. Like I don't know. The Dice Awards feels like this is geared more towards the bigger games, like the AAA games, and like some of the more popular indie games, like Dave the Diver and Cocoon. Those are the ones that show up,
Makes sense.
and not stuff that's less popular but like well regarded. That's just what I'm seeing as like a cursory glance here.
I can see that. Family Game of the Year was easy. If I'm looking at the ones that are there, there was no way Super Mario Bros. Wonder wasn't going to win that. But I don't know. I didn't play the other ones. I just can't imagine
I mean,
Super
I was looking
Mario
forward to
game
Hello
losing to any of
Kitty.
those.
I thought Hello Kitty
Stop.
Island might have stomped
I'm
it
not
out.
doing this. I'm not doing this with you right now.
I'm being honest with you.
Don't
George
do
Lucas
this.
in the chat says no nominations for Resident Evil 4 remake at all. Interesting. Yeah, no Resident Evil love at all, and that might just be because it's a remake. Like maybe they're being prejudiced against the fact that they just made a game over.
I think we should have a new category for like remakes and remasters.
There's enough of
I,
them. I think
yeah.
we could make that work.
Yeah,
I
just
think if
like
there's enough of a significant change, then it should be included. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's a drastic
mm,
change in most of the games, because I feel
oh
like
no.
But I mean, it's
some of
still
the
building from a blueprint though,
right.
and that's the thing, like there are so many of them now. Like I think you could
Couldn't you
realistically
consider
fill a whole
every
category.
Final Fantasy couldn't that just be a remake of everything else because of the last one? Like, couldn't we really
No, those are
honestly just say
sequels.
that?
Those
There's
and,
sequels enough.
like if we're being fair, like they changed the entire story between each one, right? And they don't even do the process of like we're just building on the last one. They will make entirely new mechanics and stuff for each one. So like I don't think that's a fair comparison. But Final Fantasy VII remake and now Rebirth are full on like they're brand new games, but
Yeah, and they deserve
building
recognition.
they're building on the other like the previous thing. So like there is a blueprint of how that's at least how that story is going to unfold and stuff that you're going to reference, but it is a new game. So like
I think it's okay for them to be in categories like, like, oh, let's say art direction, right? I think it's still okay if it was to be included in that, but like game of the year, like I feel like it's too we already know it, especially or if it won like a best story. It's like that's not fair. You can't put Final Fantasy VII remake in the best story category when people already adored the story for when it was first released, and now they just been as soon as it comes there. Of course, that's what they want.
It kind of
right?
reinforces this idea that the medium's best days were behind it rather
We're
than
behind it. Yeah,
looking forward.
But if you want to say like maybe things like art direction or even like maybe a technical achievement, because if they read it and they use new tech and they really utilize current technology to remake this game, that's a very good one. I think it could be recognized in about its own category. Because I think Final Fantasy VII remake would be like, oh yeah, look how great Final Fantasy, look how it looks, the new tech that they added, and then if it just so happens that they actually utilize current technology better than other games that came out that year, or at least good enough to be nominated, that one's fine too. But I would love a like best remake / remaster category too, or if they want to be, they could go like best nostalgia game of the year. I don't know. They could.
Because the only issue with like a best remake category would be what if there's not. I mean, let's be honest, they usually are. But let's say there's not many that year, then there's going to be a very like small applicant pool for possible winners, right?
That's true.
Like,
That's
I mean, maybe
and I
maybe
agree with
maybe it could
that.
be like a floating category, right? Like if they have enough, it shows up. If
oh,
they
okay,
don't, then
okay,
maybe it ends up amongst the other places where it could fit. But
Or
yeah, I
even
don't know how that stuff gets decided, to be honest.
yeah, or if they, I don't know how this works too, since obviously award shows are yearly, but just do that like every 4 years. Like, what was the best remake remaster that came out in the last 4 years or something
I don't
like
know
that? I
about
don't know. I
that.
can't think of I can't think of an arbitrary number. I can't.
I mean,
Every other year they do it. I don't know.
like games media and the internet move so fast. Like 4 years is an eternity to go
Yeah,
back and be
they'll,
like, hey, this game is still.
yeah. But people don't believe in recency bias. They'll definitely come in for that. If it's 4 years, like no, no.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. So anything else on the Game Awards stuff before we move on?
no,
Nope.
Good.
All right.
No.
So we'll get into this possible Mandalorian game coming from Respawn. Jeff, you're a big fan of the Mandalorian in particular, like more so than just Star Wars in general. Like you in particular, are like, oh, I love the Mandalorian. Give me that Din Djarin. Like hook it to
yeah,
my veins. How?
yeah.
What was your? What was your?
To my face.
What was your take, or what was your reaction, I guess, to hearing this news, especially from Respawn?
So I think I mentioned this before when there was rumors that Respawn was working on a Star Wars game.
Hmm.
My hopes was that it was a Mandalorian game. Um, because the issue that we run into is that, and that's going to be my saying for now. Give me that Din Djarin. You know what I'm saying? Give me that Din Djarin. You know what I'm saying? But when you're working on a game, obviously there's a couple years that go into making that game. The issue you run into is that property still going to be at the level of when the game is greenlit when the game comes out? And I
Hmm.
think that the Mandalorian has kind of been building and building and building and building, and for the last, I think that's, in my opinion, what saved Star Wars over the last couple years is the Mandalorian, because we've seen so many things kind of branch off from that it's kind of helped reinvigorate the Star Wars IP. So
Yeah, definitely after the sequel movies. Yeah, that was kind of a
yeah,
bright spot for
Mm,
sure.
so I think it would have been a waste and also a missed opportunity to not make a Mandalorian game. I mean, because like you said, for me, I think that is probably one of my favorite aspects of the Star Wars mythos is the Mandalorian culture, and it started with the animated series, the Clone
The
Wars.
Clone
It
Wars, right?
started with the
Yeah.
Clone Wars. The Clone Wars started to kind of, it started with just Boba Fett, then Jango Fett, and then as Clone Wars came out, it started to expand the Mandalorian mythos and kind
Hmm.
of give you more of that. And then we got more in Rebels, a little bit more in Rebels, and then now with the Mandalorian series, the season 3 has kind of been going back into that and building it back up as a culture. So I think in the future of Star Wars, we'll see more Mandalorians and maybe a resurgence of um, Mandalore. Maybe not the original, but maybe like a pseudo Mandalore planet that they kind of come to
Uh
make
huh.
their own. But like, there's so many things you can do with the game. Like, there's so many things. Like, think about all the utility that the Mandalorians use, like
Yeah.
the whistling birds, the grappling hook, the flamethrower, the jetpack.
Yeah, they
Um,
say specifically that they're gonna be making use of some of those things. Like honestly, like this. Here's what it says here. Players reportedly going to be taking on bounties for cash. There's word that iconic Mandalorian jetpack plays a part in the game's high mobility with boost sliding similar to that seen in Respawn's Battle Royale Apex Legends. So honestly, yeah, it's that stuff that has the wrist rocket, the grappling hook, visor for tagging enemies and stuff. This
mm,
sounds a lot like Doom Eternal, like Doom 2016 slash Doom Eternal, where it's like
mm,
it's a first person shooter, like it's linear. It's gonna be like you walk in a room and like you use all your gear and gadgets just like you switch between all the Doomslayer's weapons or whatever, and you just take out everything like super fast order like with speed, and like that sounds fun as hell. Like that sounds like a
it does.
very good mashup of like, hey, this is an existing game, this is an IP that fits it. Let's put them together.
Right.
Like so, and and it plays to Respawn's strengths because we've seen them put together like a fantastic bombastic campaign. Like these are the guys that invented the cinematic shooter Call of Duty. Well, not invented, but like perfected, I guess, the cinematic shooter in Call of Duty. And then like they did Titanfall 2 single player campaign, which was all about like movement and
That's
big
true.
set pieces and stuff, like combining like the feel of like fast FPS play with like cinematic like craziness happening around you. So like this could be really good, and this is a much better fit than like their Star Wars what is it, Jedi? What's the
Jedi.
subtitle of the
Yeah,
games?
fallen,
Fallen something,
no,
right? Yeah,
Fallen Order.
yeah.
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
always fallen.
Always fallen. Always fallen.
But yeah, like because those games I feel are a little janky. Like it feels like they had some growing pains trying to put together a third person action thing when they're a shooter studio. Like this plays more to their strengths.
I think the gameplay. I think they're gonna nail that. My question is the story. Like, how are we gonna do with this story? Like, because
You think this will be like
yeah,
a new character, or will this be like a known entity? Like, will this be a Jin
I don't think
Darin
you'll be a
story?
Din Djarin. I think you'll be maybe a new Mandalorian, like one of those unnamed Mandalorians who were in the background of a couple episodes or
Uh huh.
something, because they're trying to rebuild the thing.
Hmm.
Like, 'cause you have the different cells around the universe.
Right.
Well, because some were still alive. They can pick any one of those where you're one of those, and it's your turn to be out and about in the world, carrying out missions, collecting bounties, bringing back some supplies back to the cell, and helping out the foundlings. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think that
like
makes sense.
I don't
Mhm.
think they'll pick Din Djarin or a named Jedi. You'll definitely be some unnamed person who is kind of trying to earn his marks.
Like that makes sense to me, and that's probably the best way to go to give them the most freedom in terms of like the story that they do tell. But at the same time, depending on where they have, like I don't know if it said when yeah, I think they said it's set like while the Empire is still at large or something. Like the Empire is
So this
still.
might be like around the same time of as the Mandalorian, which will be interesting if it
Uh huh.
is.
Yeah, because everything that comes out that Star Wars is canon, so like they have to play within a very specific window, and they can only do
Hmm.
specific things, and sometimes that makes a lot of these side stories in video games feel completely inconsequential. Like that's how I felt about the first Star Wars Fallen Order game. I can't,
Mm.
why am I not remembering the name of that game?
It's a game that we play. We know what it is. You're fine.
These Jedi stay fallen. Like what?
They do stay fallen.
But yeah, like that story begins, has a cool concept, and then it ends, and it's like you guys spent a bunch of time doing a whole lot of nothing. Like nothing happened at the end of this.
Because they have to tell stories that aren't directly affecting
Right,
the the, the, the,
the
the
main plot line.
sacred the
Yeah.
sacred main plot line. You know what I'm saying? So they have to do stuff adjacent or in parts of space that wouldn't necessarily come in contact with certain things. So I think that, in my opinion, they need to, and I'm glad they're getting away from that. They need to go so far before the Skywalker saga or go after it. So it gives more freedom to do things, because I feel like when you're taking, there's so much stuff that happens between that timeline that if you do something that deviates from it, it's going to contradict something else.
Hmm.
So you have to be
Hmm.
very careful with that. So you either need to come much before or much after to kind of have more freedom to tell the stories that they want to tell.
Yeah.
Like with the Mandalorian, because it takes place in like uncharted space, like the uncontrolled space part of it, they have a little bit more freedom, right?
Hmm.
Because it's so far set from everything else, so they have a little bit more freedom to tell their stories, right? But I think the game will be great. I'm excited. I can't wait for it. Um, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm optimistic as well. Like I think this is a good fit. Like similarly to how Machine Games is doing that first person Indiana Jones game. Like they're good at making a first person cinematic thing that incorporates like not just gunplay but like puzzle play and like interaction with the universe, like hand to hand combat. Like that's a skill that they've had for a long time that they haven't gotten to use much of as of late.
Hmm.
And so that Indiana Jones IP and that studio in particular makes a lot of sense. And this is very similar. Like, uh, I don't know if these studios are pitching to like Disney and Star Wars to be like, hey, here's an idea for a game. Okay, and then they're going like, yes, that's a great idea, go. Or someone on Disney side is like reaching out to studios and saying like, hey, would you be interested in making a game? Like, I don't know how that's working, but there's a good synergy happening as of late. Like same thing with Blade and Arcane.
Yeah, yeah.
Like these are good picks, I think. So we're gonna get a bunch of fun stuff out of Disney IPs soon. It seems like. But yeah, anything else on this before we move on to our final topic?
I didn't know. I don't watch Mandalorian and wasn't the biggest Star Wars like guy. Just knew like the main bullet points of like the original 3 and then the prequel 3
Sure.
films. That's about it. But like you guys are saying, I am familiar because I am a Call of Duty junkie. That but I am very familiar with Respawn and other games that they've created. And I think what you guys are saying, like this would be, I'm excited to see what they do with working within this IP and utilizing, like those skills that they're known for with the gunplay and the movement and everything, and also the cinematic pieces that they're really good at coming up with. So that's just my quick synopsis, just agreeing with what you guys said up until now, because I don't know anything Mandalorian wise. I do understand the Respawn wise and how that would click pretty well.
True. Okay, so here's our final topic here. Earlier last week, like 2 weeks ago, let's say, some stuff got leaked. Somebody did some data mining in Hi-Fi Rush and found out that apparently there were plans for it to be ported. Like they found like T-shirts or something in the costumes menu that it was going to be, that were like Nintendo themed, and therefore this led to the conclusion that Hi-Fi Rush, which is an Xbox exclusive, was going to be ported to Nintendo. And if Hi-Fi Rush can be ported to Nintendo, is there a possibility that it could be ported anywhere else, like PlayStation? And this fueled speculation because a bunch of like trusted sources who were, I guess, inquiring after this discovery were getting information from within Microsoft that there were plans for a couple of exclusives or all exclusives to go out to all the other consoles, like Nintendo and Sony. And so this kind of lit this very overblown response from like some of the like the really big like fanboy Xbox content creators, where they were like doom and glooming all over the place, saying like this is the death of Xbox, saying that this is, Xbox is basically getting out of the console business, that they're going to become a third-party publisher, all this stuff. Like it got so overblown that Microsoft specifically had to say, hey, we're going to give you guys an update on our business plans sometime next week. That apparently this was something that they were gonna talk about like probably at the end of February, but they're moving it up. They got 3 execs to come on the Xbox podcast, the official Xbox podcast, and kind of set the record straight. And so what essentially came from this was last Thursday, Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and I'm forgetting the third guy who was there. They essentially said that there are 4 Xbox exclusive games that will be coming to other platforms, PC and PlayStation. They did not say which 4, but the internet, being the sleuths they are, kind of know which 4. Like this is not confirmed, but essentially Sea of Thieves as a live service game is probably going to go. Grounded, another kind of live service community-driven game, is going to go. Hi-Fi Rush, which was kind of the thing that set this all off, is going to go multi-platform. And then Pentiment, which was another like a very small like kind of story-driven game. Right. Got 10s all over the place when it came out. That's going to go multi-platform. So again, not confirmed, but these are the ones that folks feel like these are the ones based on the description that Phil Spencer gave. But stuff like Indiana Jones, Starfield, they said no plans for any other games outside of these 4 to go anywhere else. They doubled down on the fact that they will continue to support hardware. Like hardware is a big important part of their business plan. They even kind of stealthily announced that they're already working on the next console iteration. That's going to be the biggest single leap from generations that people have ever seen. Sounds like marketing speak to me. And then they also gave an update in regards to their Activision Blizzard deal and Game Pass. Essentially, Diablo 4 will be launching on Game Pass March 28th. And everything else from the Activision Blizzard category will make its way to Game Pass at some point. They didn't say when, but that can be expected because there was confusion as to whether or not they would make use of that library within Game Pass. So that's kind of the long and short of it. Like that was the bulk of like what the internet kind of lost its mind over. And even so, like even just these 4 titles, for example, going to other platforms, like do you guys feel any sense of, is this, like is this a precursor to more deals like this? Is this just kind of a one-time thing? Are you positive about this idea? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think that there's a mistake being made here? I'm curious what your take is on, like, not so much like the overreaction and the speculation on what didn't happen, but more so like your take on what they announced is the actual reality.
In my opinion, I think from a business standpoint, I think it's a good move.
Okay.
Because re-releasing those on another console, it's more revenue, right?
Yeah.
Extra revenue, right? Because now they're reintroducing that. I think for Sea of Thieves specifically, it's a live service game, so that's continuous revenue coming in when it goes over there. Right.
Player base.
So, who am I to say, oh yeah, those are exclusive, they need to stay here? Why are they making a multi-platform? Why not? That's more revenue, more money coming in. I don't know why that would signal the end of it. I know there were a lot of rumors before that, Xbox is going to close down and go third party. That will never happen, where they won't make consoles anymore and just make third party games for PlayStation. That is absurd. But making stuff multi-platform, I think, also goes back to playing the long game. Let's say there's another acquisition they want to make in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this sets precedent where historically we've been multi-platform. We've taken exclusive and made a multi-platform. Why would we acquire another company and now decide to make things single player?
Like I didn't even think about that, but that was a big part of why the FTC was like giving them hell over the acquisition, was the idea that everything they bought would be console exclusive, that they would take things that weren't console exclusive and make them console exclusive. They're literally taking stuff that is exclusive and making it third party, stuff that they didn't have to in this case.
Right.
So it's kind of like a FU to that logic, and could very well be like, yes, they chose these 4 games because they make the most sense to do it, but it's also kind of a FU to that logic by the FTC and can shore up and be precedent if they do more acquisitions in the future. Like that makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah, like I said, it's more money coming in. Those Hi-Fi Rush hasn't been talked about in quite a while. Once it gets re-released on,
it's a full year old.
Yeah. So once it gets on PlayStation, now let's be honest, it'll start getting the recognition it deserved in the beginning, right? I think let's be honest here. It was talked about. It was saying how great it was, but I think it popping on PlayStation. Well, now it's so amazing. You'll see the reviews coming out. Because while it was a great game, it was shadow dropped. It got some love. I think it didn't get as much love as it should have gotten, based on how the people who had played it, how great they were saying it was. Mm-hmm. I think it popping on PlayStation gives it a second life, and also
it'll definitely get a second life.
Right, because here's the thing: like it probably didn't make them. We don't know what the return is on games that hit Game Pass, right?
Yeah,
so this is going to PlayStation,
really
and all of it's going to be profit. Like it's going to based on the game sales, right? Mm-hmm. Because my question is like, and you never know. Like I'm sure they get a sweet deal when they release stuff on Game Pass, right? But it's not the same as popping out in the news and saying, "Oh, this game sold 12 million copies in its first week."
Right.
Right. I might say, "Oh, 12 million people played it on Game Pass on day one," but the two are not. They don't correlate to the same thing.
Yeah, because the thing is,
it's free.
It's part of a subscription, so like there's no additional money earned. It's just shoring up the people who are already paying you. But like, and if I'm not mistaken, this like it's not just PlayStation, right? This is coming to Switch. I think it's also dropping on Steam. So like, it's just new revenue, right? And especially Xbox, who we all know is in third place in terms of like console hardware sold. Like this massively improves how much money they can make for the software they release. And like you said, something that's first party, it drops into Game Pass. Like they don't pay themselves. Like that's
Right.
that's their first party game. Like they just release it onto Game Pass. So this
And
actually
my
recoups cost in that way.
Exactly. That'll be flipping the bill for it to come to Game Pass. I can see, if I'm being honest, I can see this becoming a business model where it's pretty much like an early access thing where they release it on Xbox and then like a year later
Yeah.
drop it on
And
multi-platform.
that's literally what PlayStation does oftentimes with their third party deals. Like
Hmm.
they'll just make a deal. They'll pay money like, hey, this is a PlayStation exclusive for a full year. Like Xbox did it before as well. Like I know Tomb Raider had that deal back in the day. But like this isn't new. But the fact that it's a first party title that is going to do 1 year exclusivity to its platform and then go to other platforms is kind of bonkers. But like I've always been an advocate for kind of just the end of exclusivity. Like it is better for consumers if everything is multi-platform. But like I don't know how much more this Xbox will do. Like I feel um like they can say that this is just the first four titles, but like in another year, like whatever stuff that they start releasing in 2024, like will they feel that itch again? Where it's like, hey, this game would be perfect for another re-release because like maybe we didn't get back the amount of investment in terms of development on just our platform,
It
and
might be a
like
case by case basis based on
yeah,
how
it seems
well.
like it will be, but like
Yeah.
I 100% believe there will be more cases. Like I don't think this is the end of it. Essentially,
Mhm.
like it's definitely not blanket. Like it's not going to be everything, and probably their biggest hits, like their biggest IPs or whatever, like Halo for
Mhm.
example. I don't think we'll ever see that
No,
uh
yeah,
go on a different platform. But like that's already split between Xbox and PC anyway. Like
right.
they've always done at least that.
And Phil
Um,
Spencer made a comment about we talked about Helldivers
mhm.
and then somebody asked him, he said, "Oh, you see how good it's doing?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, "What do you feel about it being exclusive to PC and PlayStation?" I said, "Well, I don't see how that serves anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, I don't see how that
yeah.
serves to the greater interest." Well, I'm glad it's doing great and I commend them. I don't see how it being specifically to PC and PlayStation, it's serving, serving the fans. Now there's a lot of people who won't be able to play it because it's specifically on those two consoles.
Yeah, and that is a good point to be made. And it's this like it's the same thing for any other exclusive. Like when you think of it that way, like yes, Helldivers 2 benefits because it's a game that requires like a live service, or whatever. But like Spider-Man 2 is the same thing. That's only on PlayStation. That's only on. Well, Spider-Man 2 is not on PC yet. It'll probably come eventually because the first one did. But again, it does not serve players, not PlayStation players, not PC players, not Xbox players. It doesn't serve players all together when stuff is sectioned off like that.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe this will be the start of something because with Helldivers in particular, Sony that was like their first day and date release of a Sony exclusive with PC. They didn't wait
Yeah.
a year. They didn't wait
Yeah.
6 months.
It smashed records too. I think it's
Yeah,
the
it sold
the
very
highest
well. Yeah,
grossing, PlayStation PC port.
I think I don't know, because on one hand it's like like you said, it's so well, and I think it's like because people on PC, like obviously other people on consoles, right? You're already waiting to get something like let's say let's take God of War example, right?
hmm
There's plenty of people who, let's say they have Xbox, are like, man, I would love if I could play God of War, and then when you start seeing PlayStation stuff come out on PC, you're like, oh, hold on, that might be a method because especially Xbox already has basically anything that's on Xbox is going to be on PC already through Game Pass anyway. So it's
hmm
like at that point, I feel like it started making a lot of people because especially after GPUs started becoming more available
Hmm.
recently. I think a lot more people will be like, well, if I just get a PC, I'll eventually be able to play any game
Right.
that comes out, except for Nintendo stuff. But but you know what I mean, though.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that really became my thing. I was like, I don't have to pay for online for either Xbox or PlayStation. Not saying that those aren't good. Like they do have good services. Their servers are good. I don't, what I'm saying, they give you some free games and stuff. Not bad, but I don't
yeah.
have to
Like
do
they
that
have good
now.
ecosystems. Yeah,
Yeah, but now I don't have to pay for that. That's one cheaper cost there. If a new console comes out,
Hmm.
depending on how good my PC is, I'll probably be good for a while because I can just change the settings of the game I'm playing to tone it down a bit instead of having to buy a new console to play when new games come out. And then I also can, you know, just excuse me, I have mods. So like it makes to me, I feel like that's why PC has been blowing up more with like sales for games.
And
One, because people who, oh, go ahead.
no, I was saying that's also a market that Stadia missed. Is kind of the point you're making. I think that's a market
Yeah,
that they missed, that they could have filled in and kind of like
Mhm.
found their own footing that they missed
yeah.
out on.
And
Like,
now since, oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say what you're saying makes sense. That like PC seems like this is how I get everything, right? But it's
But
still
at the same time,
PC.
it's still PC
It's still
because
PC, and like most people, like you as a very heavy gamer or whatnot, can see the potential and be like, all right, well, I'll invest in a PC and like build up that base so that I can have access to all these games. People who are more casual, I don't think they'll make that decision. Like it's too much money, it's too
definitely
much
not.
complication. The console is just eezer, and that's the
Yeah,
majority of people who are gonna think that way.
Right.
absolutely. And
It is an
I think
investment. Yeah.
it's good. But I was gonna say I think that's why PC's been booming more lately because people who are on PC beforehand
Mhm.
is usually like you're just hoping that a game that came out on consoles gets a port,
Yeah,
and then you're also
yeah.
hoping that it's a good port too. PC for a long time it still does, depending on like the development team, the ports will be trash of what comes over to PC. Nowadays, if it's a AAA game, the ports have been fine, but and indie games is because indie guys are usually develop. But there's
Mhm.
for like if you go back 10 years ago, you be worried about a port on PC. Like you got to wait
Yeah,
for
yeah,
reviews first and see like, hey, if I buy this, is it going to be trash regardless of what hardware I'm running it on? Like, because that was the issue. So now I think they're doing a lot
Yeah,
better
there's a
and
lot less
putting more.
emphasis on the PC platform, and that has improved by a lot.
Yeah, and ports in general. I know like what was it? I think Bayonetta was one like an older port that when it went to another platform, I forget. I think it was Xbox first, the original Bayonetta, and then when they put it
Yeah,
on,
that was
uh,
exclusive early on.
yeah, and then I think they put it on PC after that, and the PC port was atrocious. I think I forget if they eventually, yeah. So it's just like games was like, there's no reason other than to just do a poor job of doing a port that it wouldn't run on a high end PC back then versus an Xbox 360, which back then the gap was much larger between a
Mhm.
high end PC and a 360.
Right.
So it's like nowadays it's a lot better, and that's why people have been and like even PlayStation since their main exclusive, which is what people always say the only reason to get quotes the only reason to get a PlayStation is because of the exclusives over an Xbox because I want to play those exclusive games.
Yeah, it's a
But now
big
that
draw.
they're on PC and they run well, you don't have to pay for it. Hey, the ones I play God of War and Spider Man. They ran well for me. They ran well
Like
for me.
because
Okay.
they were definitely they were getting roasted for their Last of Us port to
Oh,
PC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I think there was another
Listen.
one that Sony got in trouble for in regards to porting.
Would that
Was it
be?
Horizon?
But that's not a Sony game
Maybe.
though, right?
Which?
Last of Us. Last of Us
is a
is
Sony game.
no, I mean, but it's not developed by like Sony Studios.
Yeah, it is.
Or whatever. Is it?
Naughty Dog. Yeah,
I thought
that's a Sony studio. Yes.
Oh, okay. No, okay, but Naughty Dog's just under Sony. It's not. They're still their own separate entity, though, right?
No, they're
Yeah.
owned
Oh,
by Sony. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. Well, look at that.
That's why
Didn't
they
know.
started
Well,
that Last of Us live service game. But that
Ah.
that's a separate thing.
But-
Yeah?
But-
yeah.
But yeah, that was. I hopefully I get the idea, the old school idea of hey, we have these exclusives. Come get our platform so you can play our really good exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they did what I would have thought if you asked me 15 years ago, would this ever happen of just basically all the major multiplayer games being cross-play, cross-plat, and everything like that, I'd be like, hell no. I'll never be able to play Call of Duty with my friends on Xbox if I have a
it's exciting
PlayStation. That's not
times.
going to happen. So, ending exclusives, there's some games where I feel like it's almost nostalgic. Where like if I saw Halo on PlayStation, I start sounding like an old man and be like, back in my day, you had to be on Xbox to play good old Halo. Now it's being tarnished by you PlayStation players. But this is like it's like brand recognition almost for some of the games that have been exclusive for a long time, and I feel like part of me will kind of miss it just to be like the name Halo, and the first thing I won't think of is a good old green ring on an Xbox 360. It's going to be ambiguous. It'll be like, it's Halo. Sure. Play it wherever. But
at the
end of the day, that's best for consumers,
yeah, I think that's
like you said.
ultimately better if we do get there one day. But it'll probably still take a while.
Oh yeah.
Businesses still, especially entertainment businesses, they run on IP. Like they own a thing and they control a thing, and they don't like the idea of that thing being kind of available to their competitors. Like they want to hold it over their competitors as like, we have this and you don't, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see if they wise up and realize that they're just saying no to money in that case.
Nintendo won't though. Nintendo never will. It won't happen.
Like we talked about this a little bit on the Firelink podcast earlier in the week, but like Nintendo has positioned themselves in a place where they know that they are not the first choice, but they are almost always the second choice. If anyone's going to get two consoles, they get the first one, either a PlayStation, an Xbox, maybe in a PC, and then they get a Switch. Like, and like in that way, they kind of just infiltrate the entire space and aren't really denied. Like they don't count in terms of the console war, even though like they are very much a part of it because they're always just a secondary. So,
and
like,
that's part of why.
Yeah.
That's also part of why, like, I feel like even though I believe when Nintendo say like, "Hey, we're here for the fun. We're here for trying to come up with new ways to play games." You know, we're trying to design like with the motion controls and everything like that.
They're trying to be quirky and make up.
They're trying to be quirky, but that also makes it harder to bring their first-person games to other platforms when that's their like core design behind the game. So there's like double behind of making sure. Oh, you can't just bring. I'm sure you can play some of our games with just a Pro controller, but we made it the most fun if you're using the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, and
so you're gonna miss out.
What if they ported Tears of the Kingdom to PC with uncapped frame rate? Like, think about that. Like how,
mean, if I just emulate it, I kind of get that right now. I ain't gonna hold you. I paid for the game. I can legally do that. It says so. That's in the law.
On that note, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. Ash, where can folks find you?
Don't do it. No. Don't ask that question. Next person. Don't
at
do this.
At least tell them where they can follow you, fam.
Hey everybody, I'm Ash Redux. You can find me on like TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and stuff. Will there be content there? Old content, not current or new.
That's fine.
Yeah, I got like 5 videos on TikTok that did decently well, but I just didn't keep going. Every time I get traction, I stop. Maybe I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
You're afraid of success? That's a real issue.
But no, follow me on Ash Redux. It's right above my name. There you go. Just look there. Yes, subscribe. Do stuff.
Superman Jeff, where can folks find you? What do you have coming up that they can check out, if anything?
Hey, probably just today you'll find me on the Super Smash Sunday. Actually, on this channel, starting today, right? Make that announcement.
No, actually, we're not. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but like not yet.
Okay. So you can find me on Super Smash Sunday on a channel somewhere today. At
It'll be on the Open Party channel.
Eastern. And then the rest of the week I might pop in and do something. I was thinking about getting Helldivers, so I might actually pop on.
I want to play some Helldivers, so we can definitely try to set that up and get some stuff in.
There we go. You heard it directly from the horse's mouth. Yeah.
I'm not a horse.
That's a saying. It's a saying,
Is that a compliment or is that an insult?
It's more like just it's a neutral comment.
He's like is he like a young buck or is he like the old decrepit horse? What are you calling him right now?
Meaning you heard it directly from the source.
Are you saying that Casey needs to be put down because he's no longer useful? What's happening right now? What's going on?
Yeah, he is getting old, so there's that.
Sadness. But yeah. As always, you guys can find me at SigmaGears9 on all social media, as well as right here on Twitch. Like Jeff said, we'll be doing Super Smash Sunday. Ash, you're actually joining us for that as well, right? No, Ash is shaking his head. No, all right. But yeah, Jeff and I will be on Super Smash Sunday, again, over on the Open Party channel. But like Jeff was alluding to, we are going to be moving Super Smash Sunday from the Open Party channel in the near future to here. My channel here at SigmaGears9. We'll get into reasons probably on Super Smash Sunday because that's where I want to actually talk about this more for the regulars who show up to that. But we won't do that just yet. Like I'll wait until after we go to DC and film season 4 Adventures 9 and come back because like I'll be away for like a week or two anyway. So like the show will like Smash Sunday will like drop away for like maybe a week or two and then it'll be back on this channel. But outside of that, there's stuff you can check out that I've been working on over on Second Wind. I have a new video, a new bite size on Wanted Dead, titled "Wanted Dead is the best bad game of 2023." It was a really fun video that I put together, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. There's new episode of Adventures Nigh season 3, like a brand new episode. It's wild. This is the penultimate episode. So one more left, and there are 2 weeks before that one airs. Like, we've been doing it weekly, but we need an extra week to just kind of finish everything because it's a big one. Like, this is a finale episode for season 3, and it is worth it, guys. The wait will be worth it, I promise. So check that out. And my wedding streams every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and my fiance Kia have been playing through smaller games, kind of story-based games, investigation games, and we're having a really fun time. You guys have been awesome in terms of donating to help us fund our wedding in 2025. We finally hit our final goal where Kia now has to dress up with the rest of us. Starboy's going to be dressed as Yoshi. I'm going to be dressed as Wario, and Kia, the chat voted, will be dressed as Waluigi, and we'll be taking engagement photos in that costume. But we're only at 4K right now. We have a goal of 10K. Help us figure out some more goals to hit, because I'm kind of stumped right now as to like what we should make for 5K, and then like what we'll be doing furthermore. But like, you guys will get to like influence certain sections of our wedding planning with these sorts of goals, and it's been really fun to do. Like, we're playing the Return of Obra Dinn right now, and that was a good time. Like, that's a real fun mystery game where you have to do like a lot of I didn't talk about that at all, actually. I just forgot. I just forgot that I didn't talk about playing that game at all. But it's a fun time. And we're going to be continuing that next week. And I think that's all I have. Thanks, everybody in chat, for hanging out with us. It's been fun, as always. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Jeff. We will see y'all in a bit. Bye.
All right.
See ya.